The first thing I saw were their eyes. Dozens of pale faces stared at me from the dark tunnel ahead. Their skin looked almost gray, like paper that had never seen sunlight. Some of them squinted and turned away from my flashlight, even though it was pointed at the floor. The air was damp and heavy. I could hear water dripping somewhere and the distant rumble of a train far above our heads. We were so deep under New York City that my phone had stopped working 3 tunnels ago. A man stepped closer to me. His hair was long and tangled. His clothes were layered and dirty, like he had worn them for years. He shaded his eyes with his hand. "Turn that light down," he whispered. His voice was rough, like he didn't use it much. We don't like bright. Behind him, I saw huts made from old doors, broken metal, and pieces of plastic. Wires hung from the ceiling, feeding weak yellow bulbs that barely glowed. It was like a tiny town hidden under the earth. I realized what I was seeing. The mole people. People who lived underground. People who lived with no sun. I swallowed hard. My legs felt weak. My guide, a social worker named Lisa, shot me a warning look and moved in front of me. "We're just here to talk," she said gently. "We brought food, water, nothing else." Another figure stepped out from the shadows. This one was older, with a white beard and eyes that looked almost silver in the dim light. He stared right at me, like he could see through my chest. "You're not like the others," he said. "You're not here to help. You're here to look." My throat went dry. He was right. I was there to film a documentary, to see for myself the people who lived under the city, the people who had not felt sunlight in years. My camera hung around my neck, cold and heavy. I opened my mouth to answer, but before I could speak, the ground beneath us shook. Dust fell from the tunnel ceiling. Somewhere behind the village of huts, something crashed. I heard shouting. The faint light bulbs flickered. One went out. Then another. Someone yelled, "The wall's giving in." The old man's head snapped toward the sound. The pale faces around us turned, wide-eyed. The rumbling grew louder, like the city itself was grinding its teeth above us. And then I felt it, a thin hand grabbing my wrist in the dark. "Run!" A voice hissed in my ear. And before I could even see who it was, I was pulled deeper into the tunnel, straight toward the sound of breaking stone. Hours before that moment, everything felt almost normal. I was just another guy in New York City with a camera and too much curiosity. My name is Alex. I grew up hearing stories about secret people under the streets, people who live in old train tunnels, closed stations, and forgotten shafts. Most people called them the mole people like a joke, but it didn't feel like a joke to me. I had watched old news clips and documentaries. I had read reports from the 1990s about hidden communities underground. Some said they had built entire neighborhoods out of scrap. Some said they had their own rules, their own leaders. Some said people went down there and never came back. A part of me didn't believe it. Another part of me really, really wanted to. One rainy afternoon, I found a small community center that helped the homeless. A flyer on the wall said, "Outreach team, tunnel visits, volunteers needed." I asked about it, and that's how I met Lisa. She was in her 30s, with tired eyes and a kind smile. She had been going into the tunnels for years, bringing food, medicine, and blankets. "You really want to go down there?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes," I said. "I want to see. I'm making a documentary about people who live in places no one knows about. This place isn't a movie set," she warned. "You can't just show up, film, and leave. These are people. They're scared. They've been hurt before." "I understand," I said, even though I wasn't sure I did. She studied me for a long moment, then sighed. "You'll follow my lead," she said. "No sudden moves. No shining lights and faces. No promises you can't keep. And if I say we leave, we leave." "Deal. Deal," I said. That night, I could hardly sleep. The rain tapped on my window while I imagined dark tunnels beneath the city, stretching like veins. I imagined pale faces in the dark, staring up, wondering if the sun was still there. The next morning, I met Lisa at a subway station that was still in use, but a little old and worn. People rushed past us without even looking up. They had no idea what was under their feet. We took a service door that needed a key, then walked down a narrow stairway that smelled like rust and dust. The sound of trains faded. The air grew colder. My steps echoed. Scared? Lisa asked. A little, I admitted. Good, she said. Fear keeps you careful. We walked past old tracks that had been closed for years. Trash crunched under our boots. I saw old posters peeling off the walls, ads for movies and events from years ago. Sometimes Lisa would stop and clap her hands or call out softly, It's Lisa. I'm coming through. I've got food and medicine. Most of the time, there was no answer. Once, we heard someone running in the dark, just footsteps fast and light. When I turned my flashlight in that direction, the footsteps stopped. The tunnel fell silent again. That happens, Lisa said calmly. Some don't want help. Some don't trust anyone topside. We kept walking. Sometimes my heart raced when I thought I saw something move. A shadow, a shape, a face. But when I pointed my light, there was nothing, just pipes, broken wood, and old boxes. After about an hour, we reached a wider tunnel. It was taller, with a curved ceiling and big cables running along one side. The ground was uneven. I noticed dark marks on the wall, symbols, numbers, and simple drawings made with spray paint. What do those mean? I whispered. Territory, she said. Warnings. Directions. Some of the people down here have their own maps in their heads. We walked past an old mattress, then a broken chair, then a pile of clothes. It looked like someone had just gotten up and left. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. Lisa, I said quietly, are the mole people real? She stopped walking. For a second, she didn't answer. Then she turned to look at me. They're just people, Alex, she said softly. People who were forgotten. People who got tired of being seen as trash up there. So they came down here. Some have been underground, so long their eyes hurt in the sun. Some kids down here have never even seen daylight. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold air. We walked on, deeper into the dark. At one point, the ceiling dipped low and we had to crouch. My backpack scraped against a rough stone. Dust fell into my hair. Somewhere far away, a train rolled past and the whole tunnel hummed. We reached a narrow opening where the wall had been broken through. It looked like someone had taken a hammer to the bricks again and again until a doorway appeared. Above the broken hole, someone had sprayed a symbol I didn't recognize, along with 3 simple words. No sun here. Lisa took a breath. From here on, she said, we're in their world. Stay close to me. I nodded, but my stomach twisted. I ducked through the hole after her. On the other side, the tunnel changed. It felt lived in. I saw more wires, more handmade shelves, more signs that people had been here for a very long time. Little piles of objects showed up in corners. Bottles, old toys, broken radios, a cracked mirror with no frame. We walked for what felt like another 30 minutes. My legs were starting to ache. My mind kept asking the same questions. Who lives here? How do they eat? What happens if the tunnel collapses? What if they don't want us here? Then I saw the first person. He sat on an old crate, half hidden in the shadows. He wore 3 jackets, even though it wasn't freezing. His hair was long. His beard was thick. His eyes were closed. Hi, Mark, Lisa said softly. It's me. I brought water. And a friend. His eyes opened slowly. They were pale blue, almost milky. He squinted even though my light was pointed at the ground between us. You shouldn't have brought him, he said, his voice low. He's just here to learn, she said. He wants to see how you live. Mark stared at me. I felt small under his gaze. How we live, he repeated. We live with no sun. You won't like what you see. My heart thumped in my chest. I wanted to ask 100 questions, but my tongue felt heavy. Lisa set a bottle of water and a small bag of food on the ground and thanked him. We're going to the lower tunnels, she said. Is it safe? Mark looked down the dark passage behind him. The silence stretched on for a long moment. Safe, he said. No, but they're waiting. Who's they? I asked before I could stop myself. He didn't answer me. Instead, he looked right into my eyes and said, When you go down there, don't look up." A cold shiver crawled down my back. We walked past him and into the lower tunnels, my heart beating faster with every step. The air grew heavier. The lights became fewer. Strange symbols appeared more often on the walls, drawn in chalk and paint, and sometimes in something that looked darker. Finally, we turned one last corner, and there it was, the underground village. Huts made from metal sheets and broken wood, blankets hanging like doors, old lamps hanging from twisted wires, pale shapes moving slowly between the shelters, a small fire burning in a barrel, its light licking the walls with orange and red. Dozens of eyes turned toward us, the mole people. My breath caught in my throat as they stared at us, at me, at my camera. Their faces were tired, pale, and strange in the dim light, like people who had forgotten what the sky looked like. I lifted my hand slowly, meaning to wave, to show I was friendly. Right then, the weak lights above us flickered. Once, twice, then, with a soft, buzzing sound, every single bulb went out. The fire in the barrel sputtered as if something had stolen its air. We were left in almost total darkness. And in that dark, I heard someone behind me whisper very close to my ear, "You stayed too long." Something cold brushed against my neck. And then, from deep inside the tunnel beyond the village, a low, grinding roar began to rise. The roar grew louder, shaking the ground under my feet. It sounded like stones sliding, metal bending, and something huge waking up in the dark. I froze. I couldn't see my own hands. The air tasted like dust and old smoke. All around me, I heard whispers, fast, scared whispers from the mole people. Someone brushed past my shoulder. Someone else grabbed my jacket, and then let go. My heart felt like it was trying to escape my chest. "Lisa?" I called softly. "Are you here?" "I'm right next to you," she answered, her voice tight. "Don't move." But it was too late. People were running. I could hear feet slapping the uneven ground, hitting puddles, stumbling over rocks. A woman cried out. A man shouted something I couldn't understand. Someone shoved me from behind, and I fell to my knees. The roar kept growing. It felt like the whole tunnel was alive. Then, a small spark of orange flickered across the village. Someone struck a match. I saw shapes in that tiny flash. Faces, huts, pale arms reaching out, and then the match went out. Darkness swallowed everything again. "Stay low," Lisa shouted. "Cover your head." I dropped down and curled up as dust rained from the ceiling. The roar turned into a crack. The crack turned into a boom. Something heavy slammed onto the ground not far away. The mole people screamed. And then, suddenly, strong hands grabbed my arm. "Don't stay here," a voice whispered urgently. "Come. Now." I didn't know who it was. I didn't have time to ask. I was yanked upward and pulled forward through the dark. My feet stumbled, scraping against rough stone. I heard Lisa yelling behind me, telling me not to go with strangers. But the roar was getting worse, echoing deeper, rolling through the tunnels like a monster breathing. I couldn't stay. Not there, not under a falling ceiling. The person pulling me moved fast, ducking and weaving. I kept tripping. My shoulder hit a wall. My knee scraped the ground. The air grew colder the farther we went. I tried to slow down, but the hand tightened. "Quiet," the voice whispered. "They can hear you." "Who?" I whispered back. No answer. We turned sharply, then turned again. I saw a faint light far ahead, blue, cold, and barely glowing. Not enough to see faces, but enough to see outlines. We entered a narrow passage with low pipes overhead. My head brushed them as we moved. My guide finally stopped. "You're safe. For now." I bent over, breathing hard. Dust covered my clothes. My hands shook. When I finally raised my head, the person who saved me stepped forward into the dim blue glow. It was Mark, the man with pale blue eyes from earlier. His face looked older in this light. His beard was wild. His eyes didn't blink much. "Why did you take me?" I asked breathlessly. "Where's Lisa? Is she okay?" "Your friend will find her way," he said quietly. But you needed to leave that place. He pointed back toward the village. The roar had faded, but I could still hear small crashes and the faint sound of people shouting. What was that? I asked. The tunnels shift, he said simply. Old walls break. When they do, things fall. Sometimes people get trapped. But why now? I asked. Why when we arrived? Mark didn't answer. Instead, he walked past me, deeper into the glowing tunnel. Come, you must see something. I hesitated. My mind screamed, don't follow him. But something else, a strange mix of fear, curiosity, and confusion, pushed me forward. I followed. The farther we walked, the stranger the tunnel became. The walls were covered in chalk drawings, circles, lines, arrows, and shapes I didn't understand. Some looked like maps. Some looked like warnings. Some looked like eyes. Tiny blue lights, small glow sticks tied to wires, hung from the ceiling like little stars. How deep does this go? I whispered. Deeper than you think, Mark replied. We reached a place where the tunnel opened into a round chamber. The ceiling was domed, covered in old black soot. In the center of the floor, someone had built a small circle of stones. Inside it, a lantern flickered softly. Around the lantern sat 3 other mole people, 2 women and 1 man. They were quiet. Their faces were pale like Mark's. Their eyes were wide and shiny in the dim light. When they saw me, they stiffened. You brought someone new, the older woman said cautiously. He shouldn't be here, the man added. He's from up there. He needs to know, Mark said firmly. He saw the collapse. He saw the signs. What signs? I asked. Mark crouched near the lantern and pointed to one of the drawings on the wall. It was a symbol, a tall shape with a circle above it, like a figure standing under a hole. This means the Watchers, Mark said. I felt my skin prickle. Who are the Watchers? I asked. For a few seconds, no one answered. Then the oldest woman spoke. People who live too long without the sun, she whispered. Some change. Some wander deeper. Some never come back. I thought you were the mole people, I said nervously. We are, Mark replied. But there are others. People who went farther than we ever dared. People who forgot how to speak. People who forgot the world above. That's impossible, I whispered. People don't just turn into something else. Not monsters, Mark said, but not themselves either. Darkness does things. Silence does things. A cold tremble slid through my chest. I wanted to leave. I wanted sunlight. I wanted my apartment, my warm bed, my normal life. Why bring me here? I asked softly. Mark picked up the lantern. Because they heard you, he said. And once they know a surface person is down here, they don't stop watching. I took a step back. Who? I asked again, my voice shaking. The younger woman turned her head slowly toward the back of the chamber. Her fingers tightened around her knees. They're already here, she whispered. I froze. A soft tapping sound echoed from the darkness behind me. Tap, 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 like fingernails on stone. The others stiffened. Mark raised the lantern. Don't turn around, he whispered. Not yet. But the tapping grew louder, closer, and then something or someone exhaled right behind my neck. A slow, shaky breath, like a person who hadn't used their lungs in a long, long time. My whole body locked up. Mark, I whispered, my voice tiny and breaking. What's behind me? The lantern flickered. The tapping stopped. The breathing didn't. And then Mark spoke in a voice so soft, I almost didn't hear him. If you want to live, don't look up. But my neck was already turning, slowly against my will, because something tall was rising behind me, something pale, something watching. And before I could stop myself, my eyes lifted.